All right, yes, sir. Beautiful Thursday morning to everybody there listening to us on Rock City 101.9 FM Daybreak Show, Citizens Forum this morning. Yes, we will be looking at some natural events. Well, I don't want to use the word natural disaster, but like all of us know, when you say it's natural, you have almost no power to stop it. However, you can plan for it, you can plan for its control, you can plan on how to mitigate it. If we look at events around the world as we speak, in the United States, even so close to us in Syria alone, where you have some people close to 500, I'm sure that's not even the accurate figure coming from the government of that country, buried under the ground. Earthquake and all this are not. And even from Benue State here in Nigeria, even though we will agree that this country is blessed, or we have been blessed, free of many of these natural disasters. But Tobi, if you look at the warnings coming from agencies and authorities who knows about flooding, yes, and even here in Abeokuta, the city capital of Ogun State, last week we had almost 74 hours of non-stop rain here in the state, and even after that, when the rain comes pouring, many of us will continue to pray, God save us. That means those who have been affected, it's not that God did not like them. Yes. Those of us that have not been affected, it's not that we cannot be affected. How then do we get prepared? Dele Ayodo is my name.
I am Tobi Joseph. That's what we're looking at this morning. How effective, how responsive is disaster and emergency management response. These are very key issues. Take a cue from so many countries of the world who are currently battling one natural disaster or the other. Is it the different hurricanes that have devastated the cities, states, and people's lives in the United States? Florida is currently battling NEMA, while having landed and devastated so many parts of Texas. You also want to come home and could see what is happening in Sierra Leone. Look at the mudslides that led to the loss of so many lives and properties. And of course, our own north central state of Benue that has been ravaged by flooding. Flooding is going to ravage so many other states, like we listened on the newspaper headlines this morning, and Niger State, Kebbi State, so many other states that are going to be affected, especially when Niger Republic open up the dam, which of course will increase the water level in the river Niger. So every state across the river Niger is going to be flooded. How are we prepared, or how well prepared are we when it comes to what could be the outcome of that increase in water level and the eventual flooding? That is what we're looking at this morning, and we have
the spokesperson for the Southwest region of the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA. They are called Ibrahim Farinloye is online. Good morning.
Good morning, listener. Good morning, coordinators.
Good morning.
Okay, Mr. Farinloye, so many Nigerians have said, and worrisomely too, that what we do mainly is to react and not prevent. Similar to say proactive action is nil in the country. What will you say to this?
Well, everybody is entitled to his or her opinion, but basically, this NEMA was, NEMA was transformed from NERA, that's National Emergency Relief Agency, in 1999. And the NERA was established by General Olusegun Obasanjo then, when he was the Ministry Head of State. But in 1999, it was transformed based on the United Nations declaration that every member state must have full-fledged emergency management agency, which means it must imbibe all the cardinal principles in emergency, like prevention, preparedness, and every mitigation response and search and rescue. All those areas were the major cardinal areas in the management. Aside from that, we have about 8 departments in disaster management agencies in Nigeria today. That's NEMA. And one of it, the major one of it is the Department of Disaster Risk Reduction. Disaster risk reduction and the Department of Planning work hand in hand. We've been attending various programs and we've been creating resilience society as much as we can based on the capacity of the local government and the community that which ordinarily are part of what we should do. So these active activities are done before 1999 based on that. So if you see recently, apart from the act that established NEMA, because of some inability of some states and local governments to have full-fledged, apart from only 1 or 2 states in Nigeria today, none of the other states, 34 states, can boast of any structure that says they can manage disaster on their own without NEMA. So most of the things you see is because of the response. But many state governments or local government doesn't want to invest in reduction, in disaster reduction or prevention because it does not give enough publicity or a direct outcome, which we can say dividend of democracy. So it's less to invest. So they don't always have that political will to invest in reduction. That's why most of the budgets are on NEMA. So to say reactive, as much as we are conducting such and rescue, we do more about prevention. For instance, in Ayodo there, we have been there several times in launching disaster risk reduction, in launching the what they call it, the NYSC NEMA disaster management vanguard. These people have been trained on how to go to the grassroots, relate with the elderly, find out what are the risks in their communities, what are the traditional means they have been using to manage those risks before hazard and before hazard gets to emergency. So those traditional means, they will relay it back to us, then we will now evolve a way of preventing it in incorporating the local communities with their traditional means and modern ways of to handle it and prevent it from happening.
Now, Mr. Farinloye, let's do some what I call the practical rehearsals this morning. Even though we work most times on sentiment rather than reality, let us assume now we've had flood alerts everywhere. Let us assume that there is a major flooding, let's say here in Ogun State, somewhere in Ogun State, and we know that that could lead to the kind of thing that happened in Sierra Leone, where the earth can open up and then cave in for people because of the evidence. What should people do immediately? And then for suburb areas, what should they do?
Well, you see, last year when we had a serious alert about emergency flooding in Abeokuta and its environs, we went around on foot almost virtually every part of Abeokuta. We went there with drums, with every, the system of marching door-to-door campaign. Unfortunately, certain areas in Abeokuta, they refused to even listen. We got to some communities where we saw basic the block drainage just because the dirt from one compound should not move to another compound, and the drainage was so shallow and small that even before the rain starts, the whole street are out with mucus. So people do not safety and disaster prevention as their own partner safety, as their own partner assignment. If there are alerts, if there are warnings, it is for emergency managers at the state or local government levels and levels to reel out warnings and safety measures. That's for the people who live, especially the CDAs, that's Community Development Association, who have been mandated by the state government, especially in that Abuja, when we got the stubbornness community in that area, we had to go to the local government, and the local government chairman and the secretary with the public health officer that followed us to that place. They told the community, the local government officials that this is the community, these are the ways they live at that time. Unfortunately, that area that was nearly, you can remember that scenario, last year's scenario. So people, when you kill to people, you tell them this is what to do, essentially the enlightened, most of the people in the south are the enemies who tend to listen and adapt to advice. The children, NEMA decided to go to the children and the youth, because children, when you train them at the school level, they listen, and when they see some of the signs, they will try as much as possible to enforce their parents or the elders to do what has been taught by what they learn in the schools or anybody who taught them on the prevention. So the working class or the early West, whatever we hear are largely important, it's both on newspapers and elder media so that they can use it. But the implementation by the elders and the major challenges they have been having.
Mr. Farinloye, one major challenge that is often witnessed, especially when it comes to emergency situations, is the mobilization of donors, and of course the distribution
of what, sir?
of donors of aids,
Okay.
and of course distribution of relief materials. How far have you gone as in respect of this, especially with the recent case of flooding in Benue State?
Well, you see, when you talk about donors with experiences we've been having in the past 10 years, most of the donors will come out to say this is what they are doing, this is what they are doing. They will take figures, they will take this, they will take that. They will go outside the country or anywhere to start propaganda. But whatever they come back with, 90%, I'm sorry to say this, 90% or so may not get to the victims that they about. So mostly the state governments, federal governments, and local governments who are directly involved in providing humanitarian aid to the people, they do it on their own because they see it as a responsibility of the government to take care of the citizens. So if the donor agencies come in, because let me tell you this, donor agencies do not go through government. They pass through other agencies like Red Cross or any other person they believe can work with them as CDF and can get what they want from that angle. We work directly with them. The only thing we do as in government is to facilitate easy access of them to get to the roots, to get to the victims, and secure the interest of the victims. And we have what we call humanitarian principle. It's not that in certain communities, when you are carrying out humanitarian services, we know what is called the vulnerable groups, who are majorly women, children, and the elderly. But there are other silent minorities who may not be considered, and government must take care of them when you are coming up with yours. It's like in a Muslim-dominated community, we may have Christians who may be sidelined or marginalized. So it is the interest of the government to say, okay, I think this is a Catholic relief agency. You are not going to take your Christians alone or Catholic member alone. You must share it equitably in accordance with humanitarian principles.
Now, Mr.
So when you talk of relief distribution, we have principles that we must abide in equality, no discrimination. All those things are being abided for.
Okay.
As far as the international standard is concerned, we are still doing the best we can do within the resources.
Okay.
And mind you, whatever relief we are going to give, whatever assistance we are going to give, it must be done with the operation of the camp management, which are composed of people divisions. And the divisions are divided into various groups. The HIV groups must be identified. The diabetics must be identified. They must have their own group. And each of these groups must have specificity in management of the camp. So their interests must be individually taken care of.
Hello, Mr. Farinloye.
Hello, sir.
Are you still there?
Yes, I'm there, sir.
Okay. I know this may be wrong for me to ask you to assess yourself, but I'll still go ahead and ask, how effective do you think NEMA is in tackling emergency situations?
Well, let me state this. After the Bellevue plane crash at Liza in Ogun State, that incident brought so many emergency management agencies across the world because most of their citizens were involved. And one major agency that came, NEMA, after the whole exercise, they said the comment was that you, NEMA, you spent only about 5 years and you can be so effective like this. That was the comment by SEMA, then that's Federal Emergency Management Agency of USA. So, right from 2005, you can see about publicity, such and rental everywhere, here and there. So, nobody can be so perfect. You understand? We keep on improving that. To us, as much as the resources are available, we are keeping up with the mandate given to us, sir.
This is why I asked that question, or two reasons. If you look at the hurricane effect or incident in a country that is developed, the people were warned. Not just warned, but there was accurate warning. The speed, the time it will land, its effect, the areas that will be affected, there were specifics. Have we gotten to that? Because the country had just been warned to be careful about flood, and that's where it ended. So are we close to that level?
Well, about this, if you remember in 2013, 2014, this similar warning issued for Southwest alone, southern part alone, which you might have which you can recall vividly then. About this latest warning from International Meteorological Agency, Niamey, Libya down. You see, between Niamey, Niger, and Nigeria, if you take us 1 hour to 2 hours before the release of water, we get here. And before the Federal Executive Council, all the state, local governments, and all agencies, especially Ministry of Water Resources, Ministry of Health, Ministry of Environment, all of them have been forewarned since last week. And we had, you can see, it's like Tobi said, they've taken action already. They've been trying to evacuate some communities. Niger State have tried to do that. So, what is left? When you talk about this, states and local governments must do their part. They hold the land. So, they've created safe area. Camps have been built in Kogi State along the clean areas. So, they've evacuated them. The crops that are supposed to have arrived, they've asked them to remove it so that it won't be waterlogged. And along this line, we have developed what flood-resistant crops, seedlings, which can stay there for 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks within the flooding area, and the crops will not be affected. Some of this area is not only human being we talk about, because after flooding, we pray there won't be any famine, and that's how we are taking both agricultural and human angles along with whatever we are planning. So about this issue, we monitor. People have been moving out for the past 2, 3 weeks now. Most of the NEMA staff and other emergency agencies have moved out of offices. For instance, last 2 weeks, you will see that Oyo River from Oyo State is gradually be releasing their water, and we have been monitoring the water. And people along that flow are the ones about the release of the water, so that nobody should play along the river up to Lagos State, up to the ocean. So these are some of the measures. When you talk about coming out to talk, to start mentioning in the media, about communities, environments, farmland that are supposed to have, it is better we go one-on-one, community by community, through the traditional rulers, through the community leaders, through the religious organizations and CBOs, that's community-based organizations, to go out, meet them one-on-one, and the need for that. You know, some people are so much attached to the community. Some will claim the cemetery of the cemetery where their parents are buried are there. We can't leave this place. We can't leave the dead body of our grandparents or this or this or that. So we have to find a way of convincing them that this one will not be affected, or we build a barrier where the flood will not get them affected, so that after the flooding, they can be visiting that. Some of these things we talk are very, very complex. Like the NEMA or anything you talk about, do you know this hurricane, all these things happening in the developed world, starts from Africa here, from Sudan across to Nigeria, moving towards West Africa before it gets to the ocean. And from the ocean, it gets much more energy and power before it gets to them there. So they've been monitoring it as much as we have been monitoring our own system too.
All right, Mr. Farinloye.
NEMA in February released rainfall prediction that this community will be affected with this high rate of rainfall. This one will have little rate of rainfall, and some of the communities that have little have decided to get help dams, which have been controlled by them, so that they can retain the little water that will fall for further farming processes. So since February, we've had this prediction, and we are working towards it.
Now, Mr.
Hello, sir.
Let me also ask you before we let you go. You said earlier on that only 2 states can be said to have a functional working emergency management agencies. For those who do not have the 34 states, what are you people doing to assist them? And then which states, who are the 2 states that are effective?
Well, the only state I can say apart from FCT, you know, we can't FCT, when you say 36 state and FCT, we can't exceed FCT 1. La NEMA, that's Lagos State Emergency Management Agency, we are trying to equip them, not only reactive, but to be also to involve other areas, which the training will come up next week, and so that we can establish. La NEMA is number 1, and FCT, that's FEMA, Federal Capital Emergency Management Agency.
So,
these are the only 2. Okay. Like Ogun State doesn't have a structure that has been enabled by law.
All right. Okay, thank you.
That's no enabling.
All right, go on. Just conclude before we let you go.
So, you know, before you can say anything, the staff must be permanent. The staff of all the agencies must be, they shouldn't be an ad hoc staff.
Okay. And
they should be backed by law. And thirdly, they should have budgetary allocation. Not that when it's disaster of after it's disaster of, it is then maybe somebody will now come up with money, go and buy so things and give to That is not the way disaster is being done.
All right.
So that's why most of the problem comes to NEMA that NEMA, you are not doing this, NEMA, you are not doing that. If the state and local governments are doing their thing, it will reduce most of the body across each other.
We appreciate you this morning, Ibrahim Farinloye, the spokesperson for the National Emergency Management Agency. Thanks for joining us once again. Okay, that's the opener this morning. You've heard all he says. Well, interestingly, out of 37 states now, 36 plus FCT, only 2 states has a functional emergency management agency, and it says those 2 states includes the Federal Capital and the Lagos State Emergency Management Agency. All other states, what they do is to respond to events, and it says the NEMA, National Authority, will try, or that is why they have been cooperating with them. In terms of the warning and the flooding, it says areas where they believe it will affect, people are already being encouraged to move out. For Ogun State, interestingly, it says the residents, the people are not cooperating. Once you tell them this is likely, particularly flooding and blocking of drainages, he said the people are not cooperating. Once you tell them not to do this, that is exactly what they will do. All right, I'm sure nobody will be excluded from this. It's a natural thing, like we said earlier on. So your feel is also important. Your watch, yes, your watch is also important, because you have to watch the environment, area in which you are, and you cannot be docile in this distance. If you've been looking at the pictures from America, even pictures from the event in Syria alone, I'm sure you will know that this is a very serious and potent thing. We do not pray for it to happen, but believe it, that will not stop it from happening if it will happen. Okay, let's get your own thought. Preparing for this natural disaster, you as an individual prepared, that the community, as mentioned by NEMA now, CDAs, how prepared is your community? And extending it, how prepared is your government to this situation? That's what we are talking about this morning. Citizens Forum Daybreak Show, Rock City 101.9 FM. Keep sending your message. 32120. That's where to send the message to, the short code number. But you have to type ROCK first before you type whatever the message is, and send it to 32120.
The numbers to call remain 0809 868 7344 and 0909 146 9670.
Yes, sir. Good morning.
Tobi, I greet you.
Good morning.
I'm Calvi from America. Everything that man has I think correct. And I want to our Creator God, who has enabled us to be able to appreciate that issues like storms, hurricane, and so on and so forth, it can use it often and often to caution us as human beings. Having said this, in Ogun State, since he said he has told us that we have just 2 NEMA functional agencies now. I think in Abuja and Lagos, I think we also must take into consideration the physical part, and what do you call it, physical ministries, or what do you call it now, that we have around us. They are not doing us any good at all. So they might have been saying one thing or the other to tell us that we not do, because our people too, at the CDA levels, people that we live around with one another are not helping matters at all. You find some people building kiosks on the lead way to roads, or access to roads or gutter, and then if you tell them that they should not do this, come to around the area of Adibe Mango, you find them still erecting some kiosks on the gutter there, and then probably damaging all the available access road to the inward
you find out that when you tell them, they will not listen to you. But the government is not helping the matter at all.
Yes? Can I ask you this question about that? If somebody decides to build just like you've seen and reported now, whose fault is that? I agree government should do something, but in that situation, who do you blame the most? The government or the person who saw danger and decides to live with danger?
I wouldn't blame the government. It is the people that was not even ready to be obedient that I must blame, because they are not doing the needful, they are not doing it the right way it's supposed to be done. And when you have told them, they will still use you as the whipping boy or somebody against, in terms of looking forward to favor from government. Are you with me? So the government will now sit back, or probably sit back to be a kind of until when somebody now begin to write against an application. So I don't know where we go in this country. People are
Thank you, Kade. Okay, let's add your voice. Yes, somebody is on. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Tobi.
Good morning.
Dr. from Ashero. Dele, after watching NEMA having Jose, I'm so frightened, because what keeps on coming to my mind is that suppose things happen in Nigeria, what will happen? And we don't stand a dog chance. Whether there is NEMA or whatever, FEMA, NEMA, whether it's 2 or 10 states, we don't stand a chance. The issue is not FEMA, NEMA, and all that. Those are the secondary issues. The primary issues are what of the question you have asked. We the people, from what I just said, you go and erect a gate in the waterway. That's number one. And if you tell the person, hey, what do you want? At the end of the day, when you eat, all of us die. Which one is better for us? If it's only one person, the person wait, let others sleep. Look at how we handle it. I remember a particular incident on this rock city when the government was telling people clear your drains, and the young phone in and said, where do you want us to keep our refuse? And my answer was, keep it in your kitchen. How can you be asking such a question? And when it happens, you say, government is not doing this. What are we doing? Why are we building houses where we build? Why are we building churches where we build? Go to this thing, somewhere on the way to Ibadan. You see a church erected in a flooded zone. If that place is flooded now, they say whatever. It is not God. It is not Satan. It is not the spirit. We must change ourselves. That these are natural disasters. It doesn't matter whatever you believe in, whether you're Muslim or you believe in anything. Natural disasters, and they're here to stay with us. We must start with ourselves. Forget about government first. When we have satisfied our own, why do you poo-poo and put in the gutter and you smile and walk away and listen to your phone? That is the problem, Dele. We must tell our people, leave FEMA, let NEMA.
All right.
Let us now organize ourselves. Let us be responsible to ourselves, because
Thank
it
you.
them so much. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We have about 9 minutes to 10 o'clock. That means less than 9 minutes.
Good morning.
Yes, morning.
Yes, Mr. Dele, good morning.
Good morning,
This
sir.
is Tajudeen Baskalabi.
Thank you.
Yeah. I want to say that it is quite good that we have been warned before the event starts. But the problem with our people is that even when government creates drainages, you discover that they block it. And again, you discover that even those who are living around the waterways, they will refuse to move out. And by the time when the police start to use their apparatus to get them out, you discover that human rights activists will come up and accuse government of infringing on their rights. So these are problems that we need to checkmate. And again, the agency that is saddled with the responsibility of this emergency team, they need to encourage all the other states of the federation. We were told now that it's just one, and Abuja that is very, very active. What will they do? with all the money that the government is investing in this agency, can't they themselves buy equipment for states that are not effective to start this emergency thing? Because you remember that during the Agagu saga of this plane crash, when the boss was being carried to his hometown, it is a shameful thing that you see that when the plane crashed, they were using hard to even cut the plane. It is ridiculous. That is to say, they don't even have equipment to function.
Okay,
and where these things happen, crowds that you will see around will not allow those who are supposed to.
Thank you, Tajudeen. Thank you. Yes, that's the important thing. You see crowds rather than help, all they'll do is to bring out their cell phones, iPhones, and begin to take photographs and post it, share it among themselves, whatever that is aimed at achieving. Hello, they are the only ones who can say, you are on. Good morning. Big Daddy.
Yes.
Okay, you are sounding far off mic.
Yeah. Please, I want you to understand all these days when we used to pass in front of lawyer's house, we used to get lawyer's house who can convince person to death to run away. But this case is not the case. We're talking about the flooding that is supposed to caution by government. Most of corruption, what they have done to Nigeria. It's still the same local government. The government people will say to social amount, I will allow you to build. And that government will come and man that place. To say it's individual because Nigeria, they are frustrated. They can say, okay, I want to buy a 50,000. Despite what it costs. It is government that was supposed to mark when government is people. Like when you talk about Adiga and go, when local government mark all those people from the way, I'm telling you today, nobody would like to build again. Because everybody wants to get, nobody wants to do. It is them that will say, okay, this is the right place to build it. If you go through Third Mainland Bridge, my brother, look what they are doing there with millions of dollars. And see, yes, we never learn from what passed. So don't talk about individuals. It's government that will say this is not supposed to exist. It's only when it is strike, they will just go to strike. They will not do that. When you go to the office and give them thousands of naira, they say should be that bro, that delay. Just say, if no government stand up from their challenge, it will remain the same.
All right,
Look
thank
at
you.
the other one, all the staffs are okay. All the place that
Thank you.
they did not build, the problem is there.
All right, thank you, Big Daddy.
All right, thank you.
Just one call. Let's add the call to it, and then will be time for the break. Hello.
Hello, good morning, Mr. Dele. Good morning, Mr. Tobi.
Good morning.
Oh, this is Paula Oluwaki from Brasala, Bekuta. Mr. Dele, few days ago, we understood the mismanagement of ecological funds by government, calling for probe. This is now another problem on our hands. Now that we are having laws that we are discussing this morning, this mismanagement, it shows the government is not proactive for any emergency that we are discussing now. Because if it does, no finger should have been dipped into such a fund because this is the money earmarked for any unprecedented natural disaster. Now, what needs to be done is at both ends. I mean, for the government and citizens. The Environment Sanitation Department should begin to get their loins and jump into action. They have a good grasp of situation like this. They should begin to do their work and be better mobilized. There must be effective municipal refuse collection and disposal. These people must also do their part by being responsible. Not in and refuse collection management must be done. Don't drop refuse in rain and in drainage because the end result is unpalatable. Thank you very much.
And thank you too. Yes, we'll have to take the break to allow the national news to come up at 10 o'clock. That's in about 2 minutes time. After that, yes, we'll still be here to take your calls and go through your messages. Keep sending them 32120 for the short code, and our Twitter handle is at Rock City FM Radio.